Dear participants and organizers of the first International Conference on Sustainable Futures, Environmental, Technological, Social, and Economic Matters. My name is Volodymyr Moroz. I am very pleased to have the opportunity to present to you some findings on behalf of the team of Ukrainian researchers from the University of Educational Management based in Kyiv. The topic of our research is transformation of the national financial system of Ukraine, comprehension and ways of integration to sustainability. My co-authors are Klynovyi, Oksana Kovtun, Anna Danylchuk. In my presentation, I would like to address some issues like what is sustainable financial system, what main advantages of such a system, and how to build a sustainable financial system for the benefits of Ukraine. In this regard, the main idea is to build a sustainable financial system in Ukraine, which firstly is itself resistant to exogenous and endogenous factors of influence, and secondly, simultaneously provides financing for the needs of sustainable development, primarily the green transition. It can be done due to inclusion of natural, industrial, financial, human, and other resources in the economic circulation using green instruments of the financial markets. Sustainable financing from special funds of the green transition with the aim of minimizing climate change and reducing the economic burden on the environment. Accumulation of significant investment resources to stabilize the economy and implement the investment policy of sustainable development in the country and its regions. Also, we can create a system of financial support for innovations aimed at greening the economy, taking into account the most modern trends in the implementation of the financial policy of sustainable development by the United Nations and the leading countries of the world. Finances in the green economy has become a new paradigm, and we can observe tremendous changes in financial policy trends. In the green economy, instead of narrow corporate interests, the financial policy of corporations began to focus on the needs of society, and the financial result as a goal of financial activity changed to a common benefit for stakeholders. In fact, the previous philosophical concept of finance as a distribution relationship that provides individual benefit has fundamentally changed to one in which finance is considered as a permanent relationship that brings general benefit, including natural and social components. When we talk about sustainable finance, we can characterize it as a system that, as it was previously said, resistant to exogenous and endogenous influencing factors, and simultaneously provides financing for the needs of sustainable development, primarily the green transition, due to taking into account environmental, social, and governance criteria in financial activities, so-called ESG factors. Inclusion of natural production, financial, human, and other resources in economic circulation using green instruments of financial market. Creation of the ERSM, Ecological Risk Management System in financial activities, structured by means of the green taxonomy of financing sustainable development projects, accumulation of significant investment resources for the stabilization and reconstruction of the Ukrainian economy, and the implementation of the investment policy of sustainable development in the country and its regions. Of course, we can also talk about tasks or goals of the sustainable finance system. And here we have to create strong links between the real and financial sectors of the economy. We have to ensure sustainable financing of the development of natural and economic systems, taking into account environmental, social, and production factors. We need to provide financial support for good governance in the field of managing the sustainable development of territorial communities. Also, we have to provide financial support for the implementation of the green technological transition to new economic systems, the development of the new economy based on the achievements of the first industrial revolution. To create financial basis for ensuring sovereign financing of the sustainable development of the country. And we have to create a so-called prompt response system to the needs of economic sectors and territories in financial resources for the implementation of sustainable development goals. When we talk about regulation of financial markets, here I have to mention that the National Bank of Ukraine is a main regulator which elaborates and realizes policies towards financial markets in Ukraine. And recently, National Bank of Ukraine, in cooperation with the International Finance Corporation, developed the policy on the development of sustainable financing for the period until 2025. This document aimed at shaping the future landscape of sustainable finance in Ukraine. It contains a detailed description of tasks and a new toolkit for bringing the activities of Ukrainian financial institution closer to the best global standards and integrating environmental, social, and governance criteria into financial services, including the corresponding roadmap for the development of sustainable financing. The mission of this policy defines the formation of a holistic vision of the key foundations of the development of sustainable financing in Ukraine and the actions of the National Bank of Ukraine necessary for their implementation. Also taking into account ensuring consistency and adaptation of changes in both the banking system and the activities of so-called non-banking financial institutions that will contribute to financial stability. The roadmap, which was elaborated and presented by National Bank of Ukraine, consists of several areas of work in the field of sustainable finances development. First area is implementation of an environmental, social, and governance criteria in the corporate governance system of banks. From the beginning of 2022 and for non-bank financial institutions from the end of 2024. Second area, it's formation of the environmental and social risk management system, which must be integrated into the general risk management system of financial institutions. And here we have banks starting from 2023, non-bank financial institutions from the end of 2024. Third area, evaluation and selection of projects for financing, taking into account their role for sustainable development in accordance with the green taxonomy adopted in the EU. The National Bank should develop recommendations for the disclosure of such information by banks by the end of 2023, and for non-banks financial institutions by the end of 2024. And the fourth area, mandatory disclosure by financial institutions of information about the sustainable nature of their activities. The National Bank should develop recommendations for the disclosure of such information by the end of 2023 for banks and by the end of 2024 for non-bank financial institutions. And here we have our proposals for improving the algorithm for organizing a sustainable financial system of Ukraine. Firstly, we think that we have to add some components to the context of the transition of sustainable financial system. Namely, it goes with creation of stabilization and accumulative sovereign funds. It doesn't matter how we call it, Black Day or future generation funds. The main idea that these funds can serve as their reserve funds, long-term reserves. Next point is we need to formate or organize a funding funds for sustainable development and green transition. Net transformation of fiscal mechanisms in the direction of sustainability with the actualization of the rent component of the tax burden. Development of mechanisms for securitization of financial sector assets, including the creation of so-called SPV financial companies, special purpose vehicle companies. Next point is permanent provision of financial resources for post-war reconstruction of the national economy. Here we can rely on foreign aid, international aid, reparations, etc. Organization of financial foresight projects of sustainable spatial development. Secondly, we think that there is a need to provide more detailed recommendations for building an algorithm for the organization of a sustainable finance system separately for each of the areas of sustainable financial activity, namely for responsible investing, responsible banking, sustainable insurance, and sustainable stock markets. And thirdly, we suggest to separate sustainable activities of pension funds into a separate area and reflect it in the roadmap for the development of sustainable financing in Ukraine until 2025. More recommendations and more proposals you can find in our article, which is going to be published in the conference proceedings. Thank you for your attention, and I hope to see you during the live session of our conference and looking forward to answering your questions.